Okay, this is not the best scenery yet. Tonight, I will be putting up some new decorations for the table, blah, 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 to do the Jocelyn reading if I get to that tonight. What I want to do is kind of go into what I was getting earlier about the Wayne Williams case, and I also need to look into something that another reader commented on the Madeline Soto update. So anyways, aside of that, let me focus on what I want to focus on. The man with the scar. All right. Yes, I did a reading. He does have some significance to do with the Wayne Williams case. Now, again, we talked about it's obviously more than one person operating, right? It's obviously more than Wayne Williams. And it's kind of a weird thing. And then you get different feelings and things that mean different things as a reader. This case is about race, but then again, it isn't. And you're like, what does that mean? Okay. I feel like if we focus too much on the case being about racism, like totally focused there, we're going to lose focus on other things, y'all. Okay. Yes, I feel Wayne Williams was racist against his own race as far as the lower social class. Yes, I feel that the higher ups in this organization are also racist. Yes, I feel that majority of people at that time, especially now in Georgia, are racist. And racism is very alive and very prevalent in Georgia, okay? Even in 2024. Now, it may not be as bad, but it's still there. It hasn't just disappeared, all right? Now, this particular person, I want you to know it's very significant in this case, believe it or not, all right? Now, I got the name of the other person that was found by, I believe his last name was Terrell, in the woods. Okay. They were not that far apart at all. Now, for some reason, y'all, this whole case or that particular crime scene definitely was covered up and messed with. All right. Definitely. They did not do the proper procedures, and I believe on purpose, because it was just very sloppy and weird, okay? They left teeth, all kinds of weird stuff. And again, I told y'all, claimed that evidence wasn't evidence, which the fingerprints in the DNA, if you must know what it is a fluid, that was on the magazine was actually linked back to a certain person. Now, I did some work. You know, that's what Crime TV does, is investigations. So the person it's linked back to, all right, definitely has a scar on the side of his face, all right? His name, well, was, because I believe he's deceased now, and his brothers, Charles T. Sanders is the name that I got, all right? Now, Charles T. Sanders was affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan organization. So was his brothers, yada, yada, yada. And again, I told y'all that this case goes down such a far rabbit hole that it's just not even funny. So, okay, let's go into it. Most of these sightings were the people they say they saw, okay, were people wearing wigs, disguises. I believe definitely people wearing disguises, y'all. This is what makes it so hard to pinpoint what did you see, who did you see. The cars changing, the looks changing, okay? So this guy was cited as Caucasian with a scar on his face with long, shaggy hair. Now, Charles T. Sanders obviously did not have long, shaggy hair, but he did have that scar on the side of his face, okay? Now, that's who the fingerprints and the DNA was linked back to. Now, again, forensics at that time was not that great, y'all. But what they were working with definitely linked back to him. He was let off the hook. Y'all know why. Because of the organization that he was tied to. Now, I feel like to completely debunk the fact that some of these murders were not done by Charles T. Sanders is not really fair, because I'm going to tell you why. Because not only did the evidence link back to him, right? There were some other stories about his brothers being involved as well. I told y'all there's so many people involved with this. It hurts your head, all right? So we're talking about a pedo ring. We're talking about the Ku Klux Klan. We're talking about all these organizations, I feel like, that were somehow linked in together. I know it sounds crazy. Or either they both were killing at the time, and somehow these crimes are intertwined. And it's weird. Which means both of them were very active. Both of them were doing the killings at the time. Both of them were involved in somehow a way to make money off of these poor Black children. All right. So, what the other evidence that was very enlightening to me as well is that Charles T. Sanders had a husky dog. Okay. So that was very similar to the dog that Wayne Williams had. Now, wouldn't it be mind-blowing to find out that, and I know this is, y'all gonna be like, wow, that Wayne Williams actually had some affiliation working with this organization that also included Charles T. Sanders and his brothers, all right? Now, again, I do believe the reason a lot of these sightings are all messed up, all right, is because people were wearing fake mustaches, baseball caps, wigs, changing their disguises and looks so nobody knows what the heck's going on half the time, or who to say they saw, whatever. But it's not far off to say that these two organizations at the time were operating at the same time. And somehow, I know this sounds crazy, y'all, but we're linked together. It is very odd. Now, I did do a reading on Charles T. Sanders. He did come up as the narcissist, psychopath, sociopath card. And also it said he was a sex deviant. And you have to look that up to understand. Okay, now this makes sense, right? Now, at the crime scene with Christopher Richardson and also last name Terrell, where they were murdered not too far apart, there was also a cigarette butt that could have been used in DNA, absolutely. And also, I don't know if they had that type of forensics at that time, but that was also a key piece of evidence. And there was a piece of, what do you call it, recording tape. I believe it's called magnetic tape. Now we're going into somebody's filming things, right? So again, we talked about, we'll use the S word, we won't say it, but you know, murder films and also assault films on these children. And so you know the word, I guess I can't say on YouTube, or you need to look it up or whatever. But that would be, to me, a key piece of evidence that things were being taped, all right? I'm just thinking about that whole crime scene. Is crazy. Things were left, and I don't feel there's a very good job of the autopsies. Again, we're talking about cover-ups and things like that, y'all. Very sloppy police work once again. And I believe it's for a reason. All right. Charles T. Sanders was actually cited a few times. If you go back and really investigate the case, that white man, as they were saying, with the scar, is very, 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 very relevant in this case. And the reading was telling me he was a part of it, as far as making money and, all this crazy stuff that's going on at that time. Y'all, okay, listen. This is really what I'm getting, all right? Now, we have common sense. We know that there was bigger people with their hands in this as well, like judges, attorneys, stuff like that at that time. We're going into politicians and all of our very prominent people in the social class at that time that also had their hands in it. It's so many hands in it, y'all, that is crazy, right? And that's why it's so mind-blowing. And just to put this on one man is ridiculous. Ridiculous. And the reason the DNA stuff hasn't really went any further, you guys, is because they did find that there's several hands in this. And I told y'all that. And not only several hands, but they have found evidence that are linked to Caucasians. Like, the hair type, stuff like that, fingerprints, DNA. So there's all kinds of people, again, that are involved in this, right? But I really believe at that time that organization was operating and the pedo ring was operating all at the same time. How possibly that could be joined together is even more mind-blowing, right? But it's not that far-fetched, because at the end of the day, it is about making money. All right. That's when color kind of goes out the window, when everybody wants to get paid. All right. So we need to kind of dig deeper. This thing is getting a little crazy, right? But I also, again, do believe they were wearing disguises, and that's why the sightings and the people saying, I saw this, I saw that, it's crazy. It's very hard to pinpoint, But yes, of course, racism and race has something to do with this case. It has something. But I don't want you to look at it at 100%, because if you do, I promise you're going to lose focus on the bigger picture. Because then you're going to want to say, oh, I know it's the KKK. I know it's just a group of racists. No, it's a bigger picture than that, y'all. Okay? And that's where I need your focus to be, is I need you to open your mind to the Wayne Williams case. It's a very, very deep rabbit hole. And it's going to take someone years and years and years to really figure it out. And not only that, I really believe a lot of people were very close. And I believe some of them actually were very, very close. Like almost on the brink. And then something happened to them, or you know how it goes, y'all. We talk about cover-ups on here all the time. All right. So I wanted to get that out there, that he's definitely involved in some of those murders. And he is definitely a sex deviant that is very capable of hurting some of those children in that way. I just don't believe Wayne Williams did this alone. What I did get is that he traveled alone. Like, you know how you would hear, okay, I seen a light-skinned guy and a dark-skinned guy together. I think a lot of the time Wayne Williams had kind of somebody with him. You know what I mean? Most of the time. But I believe this Charles T. Sanders kind of did his thing by himself, even though his brothers kind of probably had their little stuff, their connections in it as well. But I believe like he kind of wrote alone, if you know what I mean. He kind of wrote alone is what I see. So there wouldn't be somebody saying, oh, I saw him with another guy. I just feel like he kind of did his thing by himself. But with Wayne, you may hear he was with, Nathaniel Geter or, I don't feel he always did his little deeds alone. But again, this thing is such a big rabbit hole. That's what the problem is. It goes very deep. And that's why it's such a big cover-up. Because there's so many different organizations coming together at one time that were operating at the same time that it's hard to really pinpoint, all the culprits. Now, some I feel that they had in their sights, but were able to be let go because of their involvement in certain groups, and also because, well, what I want to say, but that's something that we need to look deeper into, because that's crazy. So disguises comes up very strong as I go a little deeper into some things, and it makes a lot of sense. Also, Wayne Williams was cited with baseball caps. I really believe they were using mustaches, all kinds of different things to kind of throw off, the investigation. So that's something to keep in mind. And yes, viewer, I do see your comment about Madeline Soto, that he's in prison. I get it. And I'm going to find out how they are still able to correspond, because it's not like it's impossible. But tonight, or definitely soon, is dedicated to Jocelyn, and I want to concentrate a little more on that. But I had to come and let y'all know about this culprit with the scar that's very significant. So, let me make sure of something. Yeah, Earl Terrell and Chris Richardson, I believe, were found in the woods like that. Correct. Okay. I will be back later. This is something I felt I needed to get out there, though. So we'll be looking into this situation. All right. Talk to y'all later.